Gary Neville spent months telling Manchester United to block out pundit noise. And now he's raising the volume, insisting that United should be thinking about a top 4 when we finished 15th last season. That is an 11-place swing. Now, ambition is fine, but moving the goalposts is an entirely other thing altogether. Now, let's call this what it is. This is a point towards standards dressed up as analysis that I feel is just designed to put pressure on Manchester United. And this latest line that United should be thinking about qualifying for the Champions League this season, he said it on Sky Sports podcast this weekend. He said it was a great opportunity to get into the top 4. 3 weeks ago, he said it was top 6. How can you keep cranking up the target for Manchester United when we are still so fragile in our redevelopment? Now, there's a version of this that's perfectly reasonable, and a big club should be absolutely aiming high. But the context is very important here. 12 months ago, United recorded one of the worst campaigns in history and followed it up by the actual worst campaign in modern history, where we finished 15th on 42 points. Now, you don't just erase that overnight. And expecting us to go from 15th to 4th in a single season, surrounded by plenty of other clubs that are so far ahead of us in terms of the project, is extreme. You know, for a little bit of perspective, the biggest single one-year leap in Premier League history was when Leicester won the league, and they went from 14th to 1st, which is a record 13-point swing. So 13-place swing. That is a massive outlier. That does not happen very often whatsoever. And I think what grates with United fans isn't the idea of having standards. I think all of us want to see United improve, but it's the inconsistency. All summer and right into the autumn, Gary Neville framed United's problems as both cultural and mental. When Amorim said that the 24/7 criticism can seep into players' heads, Neville dismissed it. He said, I don't have time for that. If pundits are getting in your head, you shouldn't be playing for Manchester United. In the same breath, he called the talk of outside noise as excuse mentality. Fine, tough love. If you're going to have that, keep that energy for everybody. We already spoke about this properly last week. But you then can't crank the pressure and act surprised when the mood swings with every single podcast. You know, and this is where those Liverpool comparisons keep popping up. When Manchester United score, he sounds gutted. When Liverpool aren't winning games, he sounds gutted. Who did he spend his career playing for? Everybody's been talking about how it feels like Neville downplays rival problems and amplifies United's. Now, the truth probably is a little bit more mixed. He's described parts of their attack as useless after the defeat to Chelsea, and he did single out Wirtz as a problem, so he looked like a little boy in the 3-0 loss to City. But the timing matters. For months, he was proclaiming Liverpool to be this, that, and the other, and that United were collapsing. And the spotlight across both clubs has been ridiculous. Now, as the turbulence has hit and unfolded for Arne Slot, 4 straight losses, underperforming massively for their big summer boys, Neville's tone has only just started to shift to any level of criticism. But it underscores the point in question here. Expectations should track the reality, not try and jump 4 or 5 places ahead of it. So, what would be a fair expectation for Manchester United right now? I think firstly, everybody, including Gary Neville, has to acknowledge what the baseline of Manchester United is. This club finished 15th last season. That's not a bad month. That was a catastrophic structural collapse. And it's going to take more than one window to correct that. Even the wildest bounce back doesn't put Manchester United back into the top 4, where you're competing with last year's champions who spent nearly 500 million this summer, with supposedly one of the best ever Premier League players in Mo Salah, the 140 odd million pound striker in Isak, supposedly one of the best on earth, Florian Wirtz, one of the best creators in world football. Virgil van Dijk, who everyone can't wait to fucking touch themselves over. And the best goalkeeper in the league, right? We're expected to finish above that. Okay, noted. You got Chelsea, who are doing the things that only Chelsea can do. You've got Arsenal and you've got Manchester City in the mix. There's 4 straight off the bat. You're expecting us to finish all of those. Setting top 6 as a target was a bit of a stretch in the first place anyway. I'd have been happy with like 9th or even 8th because it was moving in the right direction. Declaring top 4 as a minimum accepted outcome just feels like theatrics. And you have to separate performance from the table. Neville's football critique has included some really good points, as it would intend to, right? That the rest defense that we've got, the accountability inside the dressing room and the mentality inside the dressing room. You got to have the coherent recruitment. Well within his rights to push all of those things for more results, better, and improvements in them. He's talked about higher intensity, better game management. And I agree with him this weekend. That's absolutely something that United have got to do. But the league position alone is such a noisy metric with pretty small samples. If you want to judge progress, judge the repeatable things. Chance creation, chances conceded, set plays, over weeks and weeks and months. That's a far fairer bar to set publicly, and one that the dressing room's actually able to control. It's also the bar himself that he leans on when he's trying to analyse everybody except United. And can we keep the standard consistent across the length of the Premier League, please? Neville's recent criticism of Wirtz, with him struggling to adapt, the attack being short of end products, the structure not quite bedding in, mirror the exact things he was hammering United for when the roles were reversed. So that's really useful for us to look at, because the timeframes are quite aligned here. Liverpool had a transition of their own under Slot after a title-winning season, and United are climbing out of their worst finish in decades. Same sport, completely different runway. You're going from 1st to 15th here, and now we're above them in the table. Wirtz has become a bit of a lightning rod for this debate, partially because the other one, Isak, ain't even playing. But the fact he's coming in, delivering no goals, no assists, no goal contributions whatsoever in this opening run, Neville's only just now called himself a problem. But it's only part of the story. The price tag demands instant impact. Paul Pogba got criticised from pillar to post, and he was scoring and he was delivering and his performances were good, but they weren't apparently good enough to be the world record signing. Why do we get nuance? And again, we've done content about this already this season. Why do we get nuance when it's Liverpool but not when it's United? So if we go back to United, what should United's bar be? The floor. The worst thing that United should accept this season is tangible improvement on last season. Would 14th cut it? Probably not. I think if you moved into, like I said earlier, 8th or 9th, you'd probably go, okay, we've improved on last season's total. We've improved on the defensive record. We are far less chaotic when we collapse. And there's a bit of a recognisable structure home and away. The manager looks like he knows what he's doing. We've moved in the right direction. I think middle of the ground would be higher than 8th, 6th, 7th. Maybe, a decent run in one of the cups. The ceiling, the absolute top end of what United could achieve. 4th or 5th. It's going to require a late season surge. It's going to require one of the forwards maybe outperforming. It's going to require probably no injuries, okay? It's going to require that one game a week really playing for us in the back end of the season. But that's not a demand. That's the best case scenario that we can hope for this season. You can't look at those 3 sort of finishing metrics and say the one at the very top is the one that you should be expecting to get. That's nuts. And framing it in terms of what's the least we can expect, what would be nice, and then what would be the best thing we could expect isn't letting anybody off the hook. It's just being honest about where the club is and where it's come from. The other thing is that you go week to week and the demand rises and falls with every win and loss and wonder why people are losing their goddamn mind online. It's just nonsense. no issues with you challenging players. No issues with you challenging Amorim. No issues with you challenging recruitment. But speak the same language you would for any other club in the same situation. 3 weeks ago, top 6 was the aim. If we win another 3 games, does top 4 now become not even part of the conversation? Do we now have to win the league? Do you know what I mean? Even if we stuttered, top 6 would still be incredible progress from 15th. United don't need excuses. I'm not asking you to excuse what United are doing. I'm just asking you to be fairer when it comes to building pressure productively. Do Liverpool not have to retain that title? Do Arsenal not need to win the league from where they've been? Does Pep Guardiola not need to prove that he should be winning the league? I've not heard you talk about any of those clubs that are all way further ahead than we are in the same sort of demanding tone that you do in Manchester United. Why? And arguably, winning the league for Liverpool, Manchester City and Arsenal is a far easier demand than Manchester United finishing top 4 from where we've been. And if you do demand that Manchester United finish top 4, show me some analysis that states why Manchester United have top 4. Let me know in the comments. Is top 4 a fair target for Manchester United this season? Or does it pile unnecessary pressure on a team that 5 months ago was 15th? Let me know in the comments. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.